Welcome to Profi Plays. I'm Profi, and this is my first, I guess, in between session. Sure, that works. Where what I'll do, I'm going to play out the faction turn. So this is something that I got from. Okay, I have my rules sitting over here somewhere. Yeah, this is something that I got from Worlds Without Number. It was something that Trevor Duvall mentioned in Me, Myself, and Die on his channel, where what they have, and this is also in Stars Without Numbers, was the context in which he was mentioning it, where there's this set of rules that is in those games for having factions do stuff between sessions. So what I have here, I printed out the rules for Worlds Without Number for the faction turn right here. Right, faction turn. You get all of this in the free version actually of Worlds Without Number. Right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play out the faction turn here. So what they recommend is that you have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 to 5 factions, 5 at most, that are going to do stuff. So now what they actually recommend is that they take 1 turn per month of game time. I'm not quite doing that. Oh, you can see I'm in my garage. That's because everybody is home right now. And this is like the quietest place in the house for me to record. It's also why if you watch my D&D with Kids live episode 1, we're in the garage, right? That was just where we could locate. So we're space to sit at the table today. That's what happens, right? I think that's, but just by the way our house is built, we don't really have a basement per se. We have some of those split entry homes, right? So you have the lower level, the upper level, but there's not really a basement. And we're moving things around in our house so that the lower level now is like all bedrooms. It's like what was the rec room is now my oldest son's room. We had another little bedroom that is now my second son's room. So there isn't really a space, right, for us to do this kind of thing apart from like the dining room table, which if somebody else is using it, we're going to go somewhere else. So anyway, so this is what happens with the faction turn. So I have the number of factions here that are actually going to be active. Right, so I have 4 of them that are potentially relevant. So one of them is the Beach Wharf Guards. One of them is the Academy of Cavius. Uh, oh, apparently it's Cavius, not Cravius. Okay. Then the Order of Light and the Kingdom of Hildreth. Right. So we know that 2 of these certainly played a role in our last session. If you want to watch that, the D&D Live episode 1, D&D with Kids Live episode 1, uh, right here in this very garage. All right. So what we have then we're going to do, we're going to walk through this. So in order to do this, the first thing we do is we randomize the order. So we roll a d8 for each of the factions. Okay, I've got okay, here's 4 d8s. Okay. All right, so we got Dwarf Guards. Get a 7, that's pretty good. 6 for the Academy of Cavius. And that's not the right thing. Okay, 3 for the Order of Light, and then 2 for the Kingdom of Hildreth. Okay, so we're going to be going in that order. All right, cool. So then each of these uh, factions is going to go through a number of things they do. So the first thing they do is they earn treasure. They earn treasure equal to half their wealth plus a quarter of their combined force and cunning, total rounded up. So, looking here, so we start with the Beach Wharf Guards. Their wealth is 2, so they get half of that. So they get 1, and then their force and cunning combined are 4. They get a quarter of that, so they get a total of 2 treasure here that then they can potentially spend. The next thing that they do, they have to pay any upkeep required by their individual asset cost or by the cost of having too many assets for their attributes. So one of the restrictions is, right, so the Beechworth Guards are a local faction, so I gave them the scores. They have cunning of 1, wealth of 2, and force of 3. So you can only have a number of assets of each type equal to the score. So right now they don't have any cunning assets, they don't have any wealth assets, and they have 3 force assets. So I don't have to do anything. They can maintain with what they have. All right. Next thing that they would do. So upkeep costs, nothing there to worry about. Then triggers any special abilities individual assets may have, such as abilities to allow them to move or perform other special benefits. So right now what they have in town here, they have some force assets. One of those is Fearful Intimidation. Fearful Intimidation doesn't have any kind of special abilities, I don't think. Fearful Intimidation, Judicious exercises of force have intimidated the locals, making them reluctant to cooperate with any group that seems opposed. Nope. So no special abilities there. They have thugs, and thugs don't have any particular special abilities either. Nope. Nothing there. And then finally, they have the local guard as well. Local guard, ordinary citizens are enlisted into night watch patrols. Local guard units most effective in defending from behind a fortified position, but have some idea of how to use their weapons. Again, no special abilities there. So they don't have any special abilities that get triggered. Cool. So the next thing then would be they can take one faction action, which I love the rhyming there. So one faction action as listed in the following section, resolving any attacks. Now, here, and one important thing is that the goal of the Beach Wharf Guards right now, you have to keep goals in mind, right? So, because goals are how you get XP, and then XP is how your faction increases its stats, right? So, right now, our faction of the Beach Wharf Guards has no XP, right, so, but the goal that they're working on is what they call Peaceable Kingdom, that is, don't take an attack action for 4 turns. There's a difficulty of 1, which means if they complete it, then they get 1 XP. Right, so 4 turns, they get 1 XP. It's really that simple. Okay. Right, so in that case, because they're not going to attack, obviously, they have the option of moving an asset, repairing an asset. Neither of those are particularly relevant. I think the Beach Wharf Guards really just want to fortify their position within Beach Wharf itself. Right? They can expand their influence, that is, establish new base of operations somewhere else. Well, all of the assets they have are currently in Beach Wharf. They can't actually establish bases of operations anywhere else. They could create an asset. That's probably what we're going to come back to. They can hide an asset, which is interesting. You have to have a cunning score of 3 or better to do that. We don't have that. Or they can sell an asset, salvage it for what it's worth. That's an interesting idea as far as that goes. Asset is lost, the faction gains half its purchase cost and treasure rounded down. Huh, that's interesting. Because that would be a way we could potentially upgrade, right, some of these assets that we have now. But I don't think we're going to do that. Instead, what I think we're going to do is purchase an asset. So that is it. So what types of assets can we purchase? Right now, we do have room for 1 cunning asset and 2 wealth assets. Let's check those. Now we only have treasure of 2, so we can't really buy much. So it may be useful. We could possibly. We don't have any. This is a non-magic faction, so they could possibly hire informers or smugglers. Informers would be a possibility. So let's see what the informers do. So the informer that says, as a free action once per turn, they can spend 1 treasure to have the informers look for stealthed assets. Interesting. Right. To do so, they pick a faction, make a cunning versus cunning attack on them. No counter attack damage is taken if they fail, but if they succeed, all stealth assets of the faction within 1 move of the informers are revealed. Right, so let me look. Right now, pressure, and so I'm wondering what they can do also in terms of attack and all that. So yeah, it's just that special attack. I'm not loving that. Um, Smugglers are interesting, although I don't know that. Huh. As free action once per action turn, the smugglers can move any allied wealth or cunning asset in their same location to a destination within movement range, even if the destination wouldn't normally allow an unsubtle asset to locate there. That's an interesting idea as well. But that's really an expansionist kind of move. What about useful idiots? Useful idiots, hirelings, cat's paws, foolish idealists, other disposable minions are gathered together in this asset. If another asset within 1 turn's move of the useful idiots is struck by an attack, the faction can instead sacrifice the useful idiots to negate the attack. Only 1 band of useful idiots can be sacrificed for only 1 turn. Oh, that actually makes perfect sense. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do useful idiots. We're going to buy them. They have a cost of 1, so we have 1 treasure remaining. And then we're going to buy useful idiots. which have just 2 HP, and they're currently in Beech Wharf. All right, cool. So they now have a cunning asset. So Beech Wharf guards are done. Next would be, next thing we can do, since we've done that, check to see if it's accomplished its most recent goal, Peaceable Kingdom for 4 turns. They did complete it, so that would be 1 XP. Excellent. So we're resetting that. If they do complete the goal, then we can collect a, let's see, if so, collect the experience for doing so and pick a new goal. Now, there are some goals that you can not pursue multiple times in a row. You have to switch, but I'm pretty sure Peaceable Kingdom is one that you can just keep selecting, actually. Let's see what it says. Don't take an attack action for 4 turns. Yeah, that seems fine. So I'm just going to say that they're going to do another round of Peaceable Kingdom. Then. Cool. Right. And 1 XP you can't actually spend. You need to have 2 XP, and then you can up a level 1 attribute to level 2. Okay. Next, then, the Academy of Cavius. So the Academy of Cavius has 3 wealth, 2 cunning, 1 force. Currently, they have petty seers, which are not in Beech Wharf. They're in fact in another city that's not too terribly far away, the city of Eaglewood. So they are their goal is to expand influence. So that is up here. Right, so where's my map? I just keep losing this map. What's going on there? Oh well, whatever. I don't actually need the map. I was just going to try to see exactly where Eaglewood was. I know that Eaglewood is somewhere toward like the center of the kingdom, but it's not the capital. Um, or is it? Is it on the coast? Maybe. I don't think so. Anyway, let's double check this. See if I can find it. Gone to Nola. Oh, there we go. Cool. Don't know why that ended up that deep in. Here we are. Okay. So right now, it's so right here is the kingdom. Right here we have Beech Wharf is where we are now. Here is Willowwell where they started, and there are roads connecting Willowwell to Beech Wharf and also down to Flamewind. Flamewind is the capital. Beech Wharf, they're currently in Eaglewood here for the academy, right? So Eaglewood is one of kind of the secondary cities, so it's a bit larger than Beech Wharf is. So I think that is where they are hoping to establish some influence. It makes sense that they want to do this. And I don't think anybody else is there in Eaglewood right now. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. The Order of Light is also in Eaglewood, as is actually the Kingdom of Holdreth. Oh, this is going to be interesting. So the question is, are either of them going to try to fight them? We'll find out. Okay. All right. So they have petty seers. Is what we have here. Okay. Wait. First, treasure. It's a treasure that half their wealth, which should be 1.5, plus a quarter of their cunning plus force. That'd be 3/4. So up to 2.25. Adding that together, so they get 3 wealth because you do get to round up. All right. So they're up to a total of 10 treasure. That's pretty good. All right. Petty Seers. Do Petty Seers have a special ability? Petty Seers do not, it appears. They don't get a free move or anything. Nope, they don't. All right, there we go. So the question is, can we then, because the goal here is to expand influence, plant a base of influence, add a new location, difficulty 1. You get +1 if a rival contests it. Right. So let's see, will they or will they not contest? Is a good question. So we are here, we want to expand influence. So seeks to establish a new base of operations in a location, must have at least 1 asset there already. To make this attempt, must spend 1 treasure for each hit point the new base of influence is to have. Thus, to create a new base of influence with a maximum hit point total of 10, 10 treasure must be spent. Obvious enough. Bases with high maximum hit point totals are harder to dislodge, but losing them also inflicts much more damage on the faction's own hit points. Once the base of influence is created, the owner makes a cunning versus cunning attribute check against every other faction that has at least one asset in the same location. If the other faction wins the check, they're allowed to make an immediate attack against the new base of influence with whatever assets they have present in the location. The creating faction may attempt to block this action by defending with other assets present. Base of Influence survives the onslaught. It operates as normal and allows the faction to pursue new assets there, the create asset action. Cool. So let's try it. Right, so here's what's going on. Right, so we have here, okay, our headquarters has 7 hit points, and I think that then is the maximum number of hit points we're allowed to have is 7 right now until we start upgrading things. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to create this with using 7 treasure to do that. So this is going to be Eaglewood. So we're trying to create 7 HP worth of influence here. And then we need to make a roll of cunning versus cunning for the other factions. Yeah, this is going to be rather. So I'm going to say the Academy of Cavius is the green die, and whoever else it is my orange die. So first, the Academy of Cavius has cunning of 2. So in this case, we got 10 versus the Order of Light. 10 versus 9. The Academy beat them. So nothing there. Then the Kingdom of Hildreth is not particularly cunning. It's much more forceful. And we've got here, oh, we've got 8 for the Academy, 10 for the Kingdom of Hildreth. So King Bobbert and his people, who he happens to have some here, or some Dragamons here, they had the opportunity to attack. So let's say they do that. Because I can imagine, because remember, the way this kingdom works, I'm really thinking that the Order of Light handles the religious side, while the kingdom handles the political side. They don't love, they're not like necessarily violent toward these other rivals, but they're not going to want this to happen. Right, so let's go and try that attack. Right, so the attack happens. Right, so the attack is about the Dragamons. Where's that? It's a wealth asset. So here's how the attack works. Nominates 1 or more assets to attack any other in each location. Oh, and they can attack in multiple locations. But I think we can only do it in this location because of this responsiveness here. Allowed to make an immediate against the new base of influence. That's the key. Okay. Anyway, the attacker makes an attribute check based on the attack of the acting asset. Thus, the infantry would roll force versus force. Okay. On a success, the defending asset takes damage equal to the attacking asset's attack score. Okay. And on a failure, the attacking asset takes damage equal to the defending asset's counterattack score, or 1d6 in the case. Okay. If the damage done to an asset reduces it to 0, it is destroyed. The same asset may be used to defend against multiple attacking assets, provided it can survive the onslaught. Damage done to a base of influence, also directly done to the faction's hit points. Overflow damage is not transmitted. However, if the base of influence only has 5 hit points and 7 are inflicted, the faction loses the base of influence and 5 hit points from its total. Alright. That's something that I admit is not totally clear to me, is that when you create a faction, they have a certain number of total hit points. And the total hit point thing doesn't make perfect sense to me. Um, oh well, is kind of my view of that. All right, well, let's give it a shot. Okay, all factions have a base of influence at their primary headquarters with a hit point total equal to the faction's maximum. And the base of influence at the primary headquarters always have maximum points equal to the maximum. Even if it rises or falls due to attribute score changes, factional goal. Okay. Yeah, it's not obvious to me, but you know what? It doesn't matter. We do this for fun. This is all just stuff happening in the background of the boys' game anyway. Doesn't matter. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. So it looks like I think Since it's a base of influence, and the Petty Seers could provide some level of defense, I suppose. Right. Oh, actually, do have a counter. They do have a counter of 1d6 damage. Okay, cool. So we're doing. This is from. Okay, we've got Kingdom Dragonflies. Gotcha. So their attack. Wait, oh, they don't actually have an attack. Okay. Yeah, yeah. It looks like Dragons don't actually get an attack. That's not one of their abilities. So, all right. So we don't actually have an attack because there are no assets here to attack. Yeah, that's kind of disappointing, actually. Oh well. Right, so it happens, and we are good there, which means they have succeeded at expand influence, which means then they get some XP. So expand influence, they did manage to do that. Nobody actually ended up contesting it, so we do have one here. Seven of their treasure went into us. They have three treasure remaining. Cool. And that is that. Okay. So Academy of Cavius, done. Next one, we have the Order of Light. So the Order of Light currently has bases of influence in Flamewind, the capital, in Beech Wharf, and in Eaglewood. And they have a Dragomans right now. Their goal is to expand influence, so they're trying to spread around. So first thing we do, let's increase their treasure. So they get half of their wealth. The wealth is seven, so that'd be three and a half. And then they have nine combined with the other two. So what's that? Nine divided by four would be another two and a quarter. So two and a quarter, three and a half, that would be rounded to six. So they get six treasure coming in. It's pretty wealthy. Oh, right. And that's what happens when you're dealing with like the kingdom wide ones. Their attributes tend to be quite high. Although these do all max out at eight. Right, so they're not going to get super high, even if they're as powerful as can possibly be the case. All right, so we've got that. Next, I think the Dragons do have a special move, if I recall correctly. That is, they have the ability to move as a free action once per turn. This asset can move that, so that is a special thing. All right, so let's have them move. So where can they move to? Right now they are in Eaglewood. So in terms of our map, which I think I did eventually find, and then promptly lost again. Oh, here we go. All right. So right now they have established influence in. They are in Flamewind and Beech Wharf and Eaglewood. So all three of these. Now we don't have any other big cities, so I think it would make sense for them to travel along the coastline right down to what looks like Sandhand. Sandhand? Sandhard? I'm not sure what it's called. Let me double check this because I actually have some notes about this where I can have a better sense how these things are connected. Here. All right. Kingdom of Children. Somewhere. Nope. There they are. I thought that I had someone that actually had a list of. Oh, there they are. All the cities. It is Sandhand. Okay. All right. So Sandhand is where they're moving. Noted. Okay, so Sandhand is where they are. They have treasure of six. Nobody else is here, so they may as well just go ahead and establish the base. So Sandhand, it's the 6 out of 6 HP, and that allows them to expand influence. So they do then have 2 XP. And the treasure's back down to 0. Excellent. All right. Next then. Yeah, they're very slowly trying to spread all around. Okay. Then we have our dear friends at the Kingdom of Hildreth are trying to expand their influence as well. All right. So let's see what they're going to do. First thing we need to do, we need to figure out how much treasure they get. So 6 divided by 2, they get 3 from their wealth. 10 is the combination of the 2 divided by 4, be 2.5. So 2.5 plus 3 would give us 6, it looks like, once we round it. So they have treasure then of 8 they're allowed to spend. All right, they currently have dragons in both Eaglewood and Arrow Peak. Thanks to the way that this works, they actually have the ability to use both of these, don't they? Because when you're establishing, okay, I guess first, well, let's check for special abilities. So these dragons get to move as a free action. It's one of the special things. Now they also have a spy master. So what does the spy master do? A spy master, they get to attack, but a veteran operative runs a counterintelligence bureau in the area, formulates offensive schemes for the faction. They do a cunning versus cunning kind of attack. Um, but right now, they wouldn't want to attack in Flamewind unless they're going to attack the Order. But I think that my notes, I do have some notes about these here. The Order, their relationship with the Kingdom, great supporters, want them to continue to provide us with a place to live. All right, cool. So they are actually well connected with each other, more positively related. They're not going to attack. They're not going to attack each other, most likely. All right. So in that case, looking then at other things, Dragomans, they're the ones that have the free move, but we don't have bases in Eaglewood or Arrow Peak. And looking at the faction term, it says expand influence. Faction must have at least one as okay. I just want to make sure with this. Um, Take one action as listed. Okay, when an action is taken, every asset owned by the faction may take that action. So if an attack is chosen, every valid asset owned by the faction can attack. Okay, right, so that means if we're in multiple cities and we decide to expand influence, we can actually expand influence everywhere at once. That's real efficient. Let's be real honest. That's really quite efficient. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, so let's do it. Okay, so we've got then Eaglewood and Arrow Peak are both in a good position to be able to do this. Now I also have Guerrilla Populace as a force asset, which I don't think that has anything special attached to it, does it? It does not. No, it's really just there as a form of attack. Right. Okay. So if somebody comes into Flamewind and they don't like it, then the kingdom can try to drive them out. Simple enough. All right. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we've got here we're trying to establish in both Eaglewood and Arrow Peak. So the thing is, we only have 8 treasure, so they're not going to be particularly strong uh, bases of influence, but they're 2. That's pretty good. So let's try it. Okay, now first thing I do want to check is we're not going to be against the Beach Dwarf guards at all. These petty seers, though, they may not want the kingdom there. The Order of Light's not going to oppose them. And they don't even have anybody there. So Eaglewood, there may be some opposition, but Arrow Peak there will not. So first thing I'm going to do is mark down for Arrow Peak. I'm going to say they're just going to divide this 50-50, so they get 4 HP there, and that would be enough for them to get an XP. Okay, so that is done. Then Eaglewood, they're going to try to establish one here. 4. And let's see, right, so I'm going to do Academy is green and orange is Kingdom of Hildreth, and this is a cunning versus cunning. So cunning for the Academy is 9, cunning for the Kingdom is 7. So the Academy does get the chance to attack. Do their petty seers actually have an attack? They don't. They don't have an attack. They have a counterattack. They don't have an attack. All right, so never mind. Right, so they do establish that successfully. That gets them an XP, and then they can decide if they want to keep expanding influence. I think the answer is yes, they do want to keep doing that. All right, so we're going to put the 2 here. All right, now nobody has enough XP to spend because Cavius just has 1 XP, 2 XP for the Order of Light, but to up their lowest stat is at 3, and if they wanted to up that, it would take 4 XP to increase it. And the Beach Wharf Guards have 1 XP. So it looks like we are done. That is what a faction turn is like. So at this point, just going to make some notes about what has happened here. We have the Beachwarp Guards just kind of keeping things stable and also like recruiting some useful idiots, right? So they're just trying to win over the local populace, right? We have the Academy of Cavius, right, who has established now another small, actually, it's basically the same size as their current base of influence. So they have established a second academy uh, over in Eaglewood. So they're kind of along the coast here. We have the Order of Light that has established now. They have 4 bases of influence. They're really on the move here, right? So they have 4 different bases of influence around the kingdom, which is impressive. The kingdom of Hildreth itself now has 3 bases of influence: Flamewood, Arrow Peak, and Eaglewood. Right, so it looks like we are getting things established, and then before too long, we're going to start seeing more conflicts between these factions, which I look forward to. All right, so that is it for now. So this is Profi from Profi Plays in my garage, signing off until next time.